Do you know the feeling of being finally inspired to take back control over your life and to become a productivity machine? Yet, when it's time to get to work, you end up procrastinating and it only makes you hate yourself more. You try to sit at your computer chair to do some work, but immediately you start getting intrusive thoughts telling you that instead you should go and watch Netflix. After all, you could always do the work later. But why should you listen to me? Over 5 years ago, I wasn't disciplined. I could never stick to any of my good habits. I wanted to work productively on my business, but I would manage to work 8 hours in a day for 3 days in a row, and then I was so burnt out I couldn't work for an entire month. I'm not even joking. Nowadays, every morning I'm up at 5 a.m. and I crush 2 hours of deep work before I go to the gym. And I work 13-hour days. And I can do that for 7 to 8 days, and then I take an afternoon off and I keep going. If you had told me 5 years ago that I would be doing this today, I would have laughed in your face. That's how undisciplined and unproductive I was back then. But not only that, increasing my productivity allowed me to go from only having $400 to my name over 5 years ago to making upwards of $1,000 in a single day at 21, selling services and consulting. And on top of that, whereas 5 years ago I was anxious to the point I couldn't even go for a walk in the neighborhood, that's how bad it was. Nowadays, I'm spreading my message with the world on social media, and I was able to generate, at the time I'm recording this video, over 40.8 million views, standing with no followers. I'm sure you know the feeling of promising yourself that tomorrow will be a different day. Tomorrow, you'll get shit done and you'll be productive, you promise yourself. But what ends up happening is that you wake up the next day and the first thing that you do is to grab your phone, and before you realize it, it's been 30 minutes and you've just been scrolling on TikTok instead of getting to work. And then you see notifications of messages that your friends sent you, so you can't resist but to open up the chat and to reply to their messages, and that's how you get sucked into a 1 hour long conversation. And so because you feel like a failure, you tell yourself, the day is wasted, I may as well just go watch Netflix and just have fun instead of doing the work. And it only makes you hate yourself more because you've got big goals, and you know that in order to accomplish these big goals, you need to work hard. But every day the same cycle repeats over and over and over again. The truth is, nothing's wrong with you. That's what my life was like 5 years ago. I used to look up to these super successful and super disciplined people I'd see on social media. The sort of people that gets up at 5 a.m., crushes an intense workout session, and works 13 hours a day, makes $10,000 per month and even more. I wanted to be exactly like those people. And looking at them, I wondered, did they have some kind of extraordinary level of willpower? The answer is no. Being productive is actually a lot easier than you think. And how do I know that? Because I myself transformed myself into that kind of person. As I'm recording this video, I woke up at 5 this morning. I completed close to 2 hours of deep work and I went to the gym as per usual. And I'm going to work until dinner. But that transformation took place over months and over years. It certainly didn't happen overnight. Do you know why most people fail their New Year's resolutions? There are a few reasons, of course, but the main one is people expect they will wake up as a different person tomorrow, when in reality nothing changes if nothing changes. It won't be easier tomorrow to resist the junk food and to lose the 20 pounds you've been wanting to lose forever. It won't be easier to overcome your fears tomorrow. That's an excuse that your brain uses to put things off, to procrastinate. You'll wake up the next day exactly as you were when you went to bed. Change only happens when you make it happen. Now look, so many people try to change their lives overnight. That is a huge mistake. They tell themselves from now on they're going to get up at 5, weekends included, work out an hour a day and work 12 hours a day. They're also going to start meditating and taking cold showers. My message to these people is relax. If you try to change everything all at once, you will fail. It's a guarantee. And how do I know that? Because I tried to do that myself. I can't tell you how many times I told myself, tomorrow I'm going to do everything right, and every single time I could only keep it up for a couple days. A few years ago, with a friend of mine, we decided to conduct a funny experiment to see who would be most productive. My friend was going to try a more relaxed approach. He was only going to work 4 to 5 hours a day, and he would also give himself some time off, while I was going to do the opposite, wake up at 5:30 and work 12 hours in a day, even though I had never done that before. So guess what happened? I would manage to stick to this hardcore schedule for 2 to 3 days, and then I was so burnt out I couldn't work for a full 2 weeks. In the end, my friend outworked me, even though he worked a lot less in a day than I did. That is why you need to start small and build up from there. If you've never worked 12 hours a day consistently before, what makes you think that overnight, in the blink of an eye, you'll be able to stick to such a busy schedule? You won't. Now I'll be honest with you, the reason why I didn't have any success 5 years ago was because I was focused on the wrong thing. I was focusing on making the work fun, enjoyable, enjoyable instead of rolling up my sleeves, putting my head down, and doing the boring work I needed to do to become successful. But then I stumbled upon a phrase that changed my life. Everything you want is on the other side of the boring work you're avoiding. I'll be honest with you, there are plenty of days I don't feel like getting out of bed at 5 AM, especially in the winter when it's cold outside, and working all day. Instead, I'd much rather just stay in bed and watch Netflix. But when you're building an empire, that is the sacrifice that you need to make for a few years. Of course, my goal is not to spend the rest of my life working 13-hour days. The goal is to build a business that creates true freedom and that keeps growing without requiring more work on my end. But in order to get to that place, first, you need to hustle day in, day out. You have to understand that for your brain, it's always going to be so much more fun to watch Netflix, to play video games, or to chat with friends as opposed to do the boring work. Except that the life you're dreaming of right now is on the other side of the boring work that you're avoiding. Remember that. Successful people don't feel more motivated than unsuccessful people. They just force themselves to do the boring shit they need to do to succeed. This morning, I stumbled upon a quote that truly resonated with me. The most extraordinary people in the world don't have a career, they have a mission. Growing up in a lower middle class family, we suffered from lack of money. It felt very frustrating to never be able to do any of the things I wanted because it was quote unquote too expensive. So I've always had the desire to become truly wealthy. And I always felt in my gut that it would happen, but I just didn't know how. Over 5 years ago, I only had $400 in my bank account. I felt depressed, lonely, and anxious to the point I couldn't even go for a walk in the neighborhood. That's how bad it was for me. And part of the reason I felt like this was because I didn't have a clear mission and a step-by-step proven process to follow to reach my goals. But nowadays, I wake up in the morning excited for the day ahead because I know my mission, I know what I need to do. My mission is to provide for my family, to build a true legacy and empire, and to help other ambitious individuals to do the same. That's why I'm sharing my message with the world. And so far, at the time I'm recording this video, we've been able to generate over 40.8 million views across social media. The truth is, if you find yourself constantly procrastinating on the work that you need to do to become successful, or if you self-sabotage, the reason is simple. You're not following a proven step-by-step process. A lot of people fail to realize that you don't need to be motivated to get started and to get results. In fact, motivation comes from getting results. Think about this. If you signed one customer for $2,000, wouldn't it inspire you to keep going and to sign more customers? It sure as hell would. The more you get results, the more it inspires you to keep going. It creates a positive feedback loop. And the opposite is also true. If you've been trying to make something work for a long time and you're still not seeing results, you are extremely likely to give up. Now, if you'd like to discover how I went from struggling financially, only having $400 to my name over 5 years ago, to generating upwards of $1,000 in a single day at 21, selling services and consulting, I've recorded a free video in which I share the step-by-step process I used to make this happen. That way you can literally just copy me. Or, if you're ready to talk business, you can book a free call with me or my team and we'll see if we can help you. The links will be in the description below. I used it to subscribe to the hustle culture mentality. I used to feel guilty whenever I would take one single afternoon off, not even a full day off, because I thought I needed to work every waking hour to become successful. Any time off I gave myself, I felt like I was being lazy. But I'll tell you something, if you genuinely work 12 to 13 hours a day, you need time off. Nowadays I can get up at 5 AM, work 12 to 13 hours in a day for 7 to 8 days in a row, but then, oh my god, I need some rest. Understand this, you can't be on 100% of the time. If you want to produce high quality work, you also need to give your brain and your body some much deserved rest. At first, it can seem counterproductive, but something that helped me to significantly improve my productivity was to actually plan for time off. It's true that when you're trying to build an empire, a legacy, you will need to work hard and for a long time, but you will never be able to sustain such a busy schedule if you never give yourself any time off, any time to breathe. If you spend all of your time entertaining yourself, it's a problem. But if you spend all of your time working to the point of burnout, it's also a problem. You need to find the sweet spot. That being said, if you found this video helpful, share it with a friend, and together, let's blow up this YouTube channel to empower ambitious individuals across the globe to become financially free.